the experience that you get at an agency is invaluable. To be able to work across every vertical imaginable, to be able to switch your brain and say, okay, what are the goals and objectives from auto to tech to CPG to beauty? And I actually think it's a huge asset for a brand. Brand side, you get to kind of obsess about a singular brand and really understand like their goals and objectives, understand their why, understand who they're trying to reach, and really just be invested in all in.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to the WIIM podcast. Women in Influencer Marketing is a first-of-its-kind exclusive networking group made up of inspirational women. This podcast is where we explore influencer marketing and get real about women in business. Find us wherever you download podcasts, and of course, you can always find us at iamwim.com. That's iamwim.com. Hey guys, what is going on? You've got Jessie Grossman, your podcast hostess with the mostest. I'm also the founder of the community that inspired this podcast, WIIM, or Women in Influencer Marketing. I'm so excited to be here with you guys today. And today is another guest episode. I know I promised you guys more solo episodes, but I want it to be a blend so I can be particularly selective about who we bring on here transparently. Like, if you're a fellow podcaster, like, podcasting is a lot of work, you guys. And to keep up with these weekly episodes and have them be, guest oriented, I felt a lot of pressure. And I honestly, like, not to knock anybody who's been on the show, but like, I like the opportunity to be really selective about who I bring on. I don't want to bring someone on basically just because I feel pressure to like have an episode go out the next week. I want to share a little bit more with you guys and just get personal. I want to share my experiences with you guys. I love teaching. So if I can teach you guys anything, with a solo episode about like a particular topic, then like that sounds great to me. You guys seem to like them a lot. And I think it's going to be like a nice blend. But all that being said, I'm always looking for ways to improve this show. And I love your feedback. So, give it to me, whether it's in the YouTube comments or in the DMs on Instagram. We're at iamwim on all platforms. So find us and give me some ideas of like what you guys want to hear about. Today's episode, though, went in like a really interesting direction. I come to these interviews, of course, with like some questions that have been predetermined, but I always like to tell our guests, like, consider it a framework. Like, we're going to hopefully go in some unexpected directions based on where the conversation takes us. And so, with Lindsay Calabrese, who you're going to hear from shortly, we ended up actually talking a little bit about the concept of job hopping, which was not a question that I came up with necessarily, but it did come up and it was a really interesting perspective that she has. I'm not going to give it away, but we talked about what it is to jump from job to job every year or a couple of years. It's for sure, of course, it's taboo and historically looked down upon, but like, we're going to hear how Lindsay feels about it. We also talked about agency life and, flaws at agencies and how they can do better. We also talked about missed opportunities in influencer marketing. And let me like set the stage for Lindsay. She is somebody that I hugely respect. She's somebody who I admire for so many reasons, but like, I love that she is not afraid, in fact, like embraces just like jumping into the fire of something new. And she always seems at the forefront of innovation. Like, when Web3 first came out, like, of course, Lindsay's like all over Web3. Then AI is the thing. And like, of course, Lindsay's all over AI, where a lot of people would like intimidated by those things. A lot of people certainly wouldn't dive headfirst. That's like always Lindsay's MO. And I love that. I respect that so much. And I also find that in terms of the creator, like specific space, like she seems like she really loves creators. And she's not just like promoting the ones that everybody knows about. Like she seems to have like this deep knowledge about creators who like maybe they haven't necessarily popped yet. Like they're a little lesser known, but they're doing really cool, substantive work. And I love that about her. So, like, for all of those reasons, hopefully you can imagine why I was dying to have her on the show. And it's been a long time in the making. I'm so glad that she took me up on it. And I love that I can be so selective about our guests now so that when I do these intros, like, I can make this intro like 15 minutes long, just going on and on about how awesome Lindsay is. But I don't want to oversell this. So I should probably stop talking so you guys can just enjoy our conversation. But, anyways, I'm super excited also to sort of preview that we have a few upcoming virtual events that you guys should definitely check out. So, first of all, please join the membership. And I'm going to say it again. You guys, if you enjoy these conversations, and I know that you do because you tune in week over week, and I am so appreciative of your attention because that is a hot commodity these days. I want you to also give yourself a gift. You're giving me a gift by like having this show like be popular and having this show like have legs and like really impact people. Give yourself a gift of joining the membership because some of you guys don't necessarily have the community that you wish that you had, or the network that you wish that you had, or the resources or the education. And like that is what WIIM will give you. It is the most powerful thing to be able to just have all of these inspirational, like kick ass women at your fingertips. And I just highly encourage you to like do yourself that favor. It's hard to like invest in yourself for a number of different reasons. Everybody's a little bit different, but I want you guys to. And we're getting to the end of the year. So, like, set yourself up for 2024. All that being said, I'm encouraging you to join the membership also because these few events that we have coming up, that makes them free. It makes them included in your membership once you're a member. So you have access to things like our manager meetup, our brand meetup, which this month is all about affiliate marketing. It's a panel. It's going to be so, so good. We have an event coming up also, the best in influencer tech. That's in November. It's going to be incredible. We have who we've hand selected as the best companies in influencer tech to demo their products for you. Of course, they're also going to give you discounts and promotions to try their products and stuff because I'm like a promo girl and I love a good coupon and discount. So, like, they're not allowed to demo if they don't give you one, like, real talk. And I'm excited for you guys to check all of these virtual events out. But with all that being said, I'm also in 2024 planning mode. Now that like our like Chicago event is behind me and we've done LA, we've done New York this year, and I'm really excited to just sort of like sit with my thoughts, be able to tap you guys for your feedback, and then like go guns blazing into 2024 for you guys. All that to be said, please give me feedback. I want to hear whether it's in our Instagram DMs or our YouTube comments. What do you guys want more of in WIIM? What do you guys want more of? Do you want more virtual events? Do you want more in-person events? Do you want more mentors to join so you can have all these mentorship opportunities? Do you want more castings? Do you want more master classes or more panel discussions or more, varied podcast topics? So whatever it is, I want to hear. And even if it's something that we've never done before, we are building a couple new things that I hope to preview for you here towards the end of the year. But I want to build some stuff and I want to really help you guys. So I'm excited to hear your thoughts. I'm excited for me to stop talking so you can hear Lindsay today. And let's just get into it, guys. First and foremost, I'm really excited to have you on the show. I've been like wanting to get you on here for a while for multiple reasons. I would say one is like I just always enjoy catching up with you. And then two is like I want our members to know more about you. And like I know that you're going to be able to share your learnings and you just have so much experience in the creator space. I'm really excited for our listeners and members to like learn from you today. So, first and foremost, welcome to the show. Thank you for coming.
Thank you. I know we've been trying to do this for a while. And WIIM always has like a special place in my heart. I went to the very first WIIM event.
In LA in like maybe 2018 or 2017. Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I wasn't even there. I just remember getting like photos of it and seeing photos of it. And we had a whole team and very vividly remember this. Like when we were putting together that panel discussion, like multiple people were like, oh, we got to get Lindsay. We got to get Lindsay. And I didn't know you at the time. But I remember being very intrigued by how many people like vouched for you and like really wanted you to be on the panel. So I'm glad we connected then. And like since then, you've like come to other events and just had like a whole career of your own, which I'm excited to sort of like dig into a little bit today. But we heard a little bit about you in the intro to the show, like you on paper. Tell me what it's like and like what you've learned from working at a variety of different companies in the creator economy.
So I've been in the influencer space for over a decade. When we met, I was at the Amplify. I helped launch the Amplify back in 2013. I believe we were the first influencer marketing tech company back in the day. We had tech, but we didn't have any kind of network or clients or process. So to kind of be there from the ground up and build was incredible. We ended up working with some of the biggest brands in the world and we're really just building as we go. And I look back and some of the work that we did, I still think is some of the best that I've done and some of the most innovative that I've still seen in the space. We got acquired in 2016 by the Brand Tech Group, and then I oversaw global expansion, opened up offices in New York, London, and Paris. So getting that type of experience early on in my career was invaluable. I mean, being trusted to do things for the first time in a big way and like make mistakes, but like learn from it was amazing. We launched the world first influencer chatbot in partnership with CoverGirl. We were pushing long-term creator programs, back in 2014 and 2015. One time I did an audit of our clients, and out of all the campaigns we did, we probably had like 3 that were just one-offs. The average length of our campaigns back in like 2016 was like 6 months, 8 months in a year. So, just kind of like looking how progressive that was back then was really cool. Since then, I've been SVP at Whaler through their hypergrowth years, sold through the first Super Bowl campaign and pharma campaign, was a VP of influencer at Cashmere, a leading cultural impact agency. What I've learned at all these different places is I was meant to be there for however long I was meant to be there. I think job hopping is completely okay. Be at a place as long as it serves you and as long as you're learning and as long as it's the right cultural environment. And as long as there's room for growth, job hopping is absolutely okay. I remember there was a time in my career where they're like, you've been here for 4 months and you've been here for 6 months. And, what's up with that? And I never felt guilty. I was straight up with like why I left and what I learned and what I bring to the table. And so that's like a big takeaway, I think, from being in the space is job hopping is okay. Do what is good for you. While at Cashmere, I mean, I really just like dove head in and learned all about like cultural impact and like understanding like to look beyond vanity metrics, right? Like if any creator could be on the campaign, then what are we trying to accomplish? Right? Like really trying to understand like what we're trying to accomplish and how we're measuring success. And the easier you can swap one creator out for the next, the more impact you lose. So like looking at like not follower count, but like people who are putting in the real work, like in their community, in their subculture, who when they like speak up, like it makes you instantly feel something, it makes you instantly want to do something. And Gen Z, like I got to really like understand Gen Z and like what makes them tick. And for brands to be relevant for years to come, like Gen Z needs to embrace them. You need to move at the speed of culture. You need to know how to tap into culture. And, that was my big takeaway from being there. And then NIL has really popped off. And so I like to get paid to learn. When I left Cashmere, NIL is, there's millions of dollars funneling into that. So I got a job as head of partnerships at an NIL company where I got paid to like just, obsess about that. And then the past couple months actually went brand side. After 12 years, actually going brand side has been a dream where I get to build a creator network from the ground up that's powered by some pretty iconic brands.
I hear this a lot, which is, especially people who work at an agency that like the dream is to work at a brand. Like everyone's answer is going to be different, of course, but like, why was that your dream?
Well, first of all, I think the experience that you get at an agency is invaluable. To be able to work across every vertical imaginable, to be able to switch your brain and say, okay, what are the goals and objectives from auto to tech to CPG to beauty, right? To get the experience across verticals for me was like clutch. And then you also get to know the creators, right, in each of those verticals. So for me, agency was invaluable. And I actually think it's a huge asset for a brand. I think where there's kind of like tension is there's agency is super fast moving. There tends to be higher turnover. It's super fast paced. Agency life tends to be yes people. Like you just kind of churn and burn. And that leads to burnout. And I think, at least me personally, it led to conflict of morals. Yeah, but I wouldn't trade it for anything. Brand side, you get to kind of obsess about a singular brand and really understand like their goals and objectives, understand their why, understand who they're trying to reach, and really just be invested in all in.
I hear that a lot. And I have personally not ever worked at, I've only worked at a talent agency. I've never worked at like a brand facing agency. I mean, transparently, like I've heard horror stories, all sorts of agencies. I can't even pick on one where like, the burnout that you talked about and just, like there's no balance, there's no work life balance. The yes thing resonates. I've heard that a ton. Just like we're expected to just like always please the client no matter what. And again, like I personally don't have experience at those places, but I've heard this from enough people that it seems like it's a fairly universal experience. And so I'm curious, like, so now you have this experience where you've worked at quite a few agencies. I'm sure you know people, of course, who work at agencies. So you've gotten that feedback as well. And now you're working, brand side. Like, everyone's got to survive if they're thinking, smart that like, how can agencies survive, but not just survive? Like, how can agencies thrive? What should they be doing better?
Again, I can only speak from my experience. I would say a lot of it has to do with culture. Expectations have been unrealistic at times. I mean, for me, those were the big things. Look, at every agency that I've been at, I've absolutely wouldn't take it back. Like, I've learned so much from the Amplified to Whaler and Cashmere. I take with me the best that they each had to offer. I will say that. And I left when they no longer served me. Like, whether it was the culture or whether it was I just wanted more.
And like, maybe to your earlier point, like, there are certain industries where the culture is just shorter lifespans. Like maybe at a brand, let's say, and I'm not even saying that this is true, but like hypothetically speaking, maybe at like a brand, that's where you would stay for 10 years. Like maybe, like as a doctor, like, you like stay put for a while, but like maybe agencies, I don't know, are just like set up with false expectations where like people assume that like if you only stay there a couple years that something went wrong. Well, maybe I would challenge that. Like maybe it's just best set up for people to do shorter spurts there. What are your thoughts on that? Am I off base?
I mean, a couple years is kind of a lifetime now. Like, it really is. And you can learn so much in a year at an agency. So much. I do. It's kind of like getting your master's degree. Like, you are thrown into the fire, um, working across, again, a number of different verticals, working with a number of different personalities that are kind of constantly changing. You learn so much. And like I said, I mean, I take the best with me. And I do think like spending time at an agency is really good for your career if you want to get into influencer marketing and the creator economy. It's really invaluable what you learn.
So let's talk a little bit more about like the learnings, right? So like I really admire that like from my perspective, from my vantage point, I've always seen you like really digging into like the new thing. And I'm like, dang, like if Lindsay's checking out, then like I need to check it out. Like you are so into Web3, NIL, like all these areas, like Web3 intrigued a lot of people. Very few people really dug into it. Certainly like not at the level that you did. Um, and I just think that's like a really admirable quality and character trait of yours. Is this something really worth digging into, or is it straight up curiosity and then you kind of see what happens once you're there?
Yeah, it's kind of curiosity. If I don't understand something, like I just have to understand it. And I do think though it is part of our job, right, in the influencer space to check out the trends. Like we do need to understand like what people are talking about and how is it relevant? Can we apply it to what we do?
And like, how do you do that though? Cause I'm like, yeah, totally. But like, I don't know. Do I just like look at like the major trends? Am I looking at like sub community trends? And like, how do you do that?
So I learned by doing. I tried to read articles about Web3, for example, and I just was so confused. And I just did some research on, well, what is fashion doing in the space? Is there CPG? Like what is going on? Like what are these different communities? And I just honestly just started like buying, right, an NFT to get into like behind the curtain in their Discord and in their communities. And I learned by doing.
Do you ever do it like 20%? Or are you always like, if I'm going to do something, I'm always going to do it at
I
100%?
don't know if it's a sign thing being a Virgo. I don't really understand like astrology and signs, but I definitely obsessed about things for periods of time. Like I look back and I wanted to be a photographer when I was younger. So I like wore a Polaroid camera around my neck everywhere I went and like just pretended to be a photographer. I wanted to be a cartoonist at one point and I got an easel and I just drew for hours and became pretty good at it and started doing murals on like walls. Like, but then it's like one day I wake up and I'm like, I'm over it. I even do that with food. It's bizarre. Like I got really into oranges one time and all I ate for like a month was oranges. It's just like, I don't know. I have this in my personality. It served me well so far, but that's just part of who I am.
Totally. No, I love that. I don't know. Everyone's different. Some people might say like Web3 looks so interesting, but they struggle to keep the focus, of learning the thing. So like the drive has to come from somewhere, and for people it's different. Like when you are most enthusiastic about whatever it is that you're working on, like I don't know, even like, let's say Web3, like what other motivations were there besides curiosity? Like, what other things do you think like really motivated you besides being a Virgo and besides being curious?
I mean, look, I'm 42. I've been in the influencer space for 12 years. Like, I think there's also like, I don't know necessarily it's a fear of missing out, but like I have worried about ageism. Am I aging out of a industry that is fast moving? I mean, it's very, very different than it was back in, 2011, 2012. It's very hard to keep up with. And I think what I've learned is I don't need to know everything, but I do need to know what is worth keeping an eye on. And I also like it's all about who you hire too. Like, I don't need to be on TikTok scrolling all the time. I don't need to know what the top sounds are, but I know it's important. I know it's a must in this space. So let me hire someone who informs me, right? It's like, it's just also knowing like what your superpowers are, and building a team that is connected. And yeah, so it's like ageism, that's the thing that I worry about. And now I just hire appropriately.
Well, let's talk about that a little bit more. I totally feel you on that, first of all. Like, it's definitely a fear, especially in our industry, right? Because, like, our industry just skews a bit young and it's a unique situation. I feel like in many, I would argue to say most other industries, like the more senior you are, the more value you're perceived to bring to the company. But especially when there's always like the next newest thing, like when TikTok like really became a thing a few years ago, like people were really sought after who happen to just be younger generally because it was so natural to them and they just seemed to know more about TikTok and it was certainly like it was easier for them maybe, I don't know. But the point is like I feel you on that and I'm curious to hear your perspective on like how do you work through that? I mean, I heard you say what you are doing at work, like you hire for that. But what do you do on like inside your mind, the things that we like tell ourselves, which is, I'm to this or I'm to that or I'm scared of this. Like, how do you sort through those thoughts of some of those fears? One of them that we happen to be talking about is just ageism.
I mean, I love research. And again, I lurk a lot on social, even if I don't post.
So is it for you? Is it like always being satiated and inundated with information and just like the knowing and understanding that puts you at ease about that? I guess I'm curious, like, how you work through that. Like, how do you put those fears, how do you hold them at bay? What scratches that itch for you and makes you feel better about it?
I geek out on like, I mean, I learn by doing, but I like having a good understanding of how a lot of things work and why. Do I need to physically be the one going in and doing it myself? No. I think that's the main thing. I mean, TikTok has been interesting to watch because it's not really like your normal social network. It really is like television.
Do you enjoy TikTok personally?
More and more, yes. But I like in my bio on TikTok, I actually put like, whatever in brand partnerships, just here for talent, not posting. Like I say like who I am on there and that like don't expect to see me doing anything. I do force myself to go on it personally and scroll through. But I do think personally I spend more time on Instagram because my feed it's just I've been on there for what years and years and my feed is already conditioned about like all my interest. I haven't forced myself to do that on TikTok to try to get my feed like how I like it. But I don't feel the need to go in and learn how to use CapCut and post videos. Like, I don't think that you need to learn how to know how to do that personally to be a really good strategist and understand the mechanics of it. I don't
Yeah.
think you need to do it. I mean, there's some, marketers and social strategists who are like, yeah, and the best ones do it. I don't feel the FOMO there. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Just rambling on at this point.
No, it's okay. I like the rambles. I'm curious, like, so you have worked though with like so many different brands across time. Think you have a really good eye for talent, for like the next big thing that is worth focusing on. And so I'm curious what you think are the missed opportunities in influencer marketing. What do you think?
Well, so I mean, just going back to like finding talent and creators and strategy, I mean, I think that a lot of brands and marketers, once they have the big idea, I think that for them, that's when strategy ends. Like, then it just becomes pure execution and campaign management. For me, like, that's just when it's beginning. I think finding the right creators is heavy, heavy strategy. Again, if anyone can do the campaign, then what are you trying to accomplish? The easy again, I say this so many times, the easier you could swap out one creative for the next, the more impact you lose. So my team and I, we spend a lot of time wormholing, on TikTok and Instagram and Google and just like finding these niche communities and fandoms and subcultures on the internet. Like we do a lot of digging to find the right people. And again, we don't really focus on follower count. That is something that is a missed opportunity, I think, or something that I don't think a lot of people are paying attention to. One example is I met this young woman, Tiana Day. She had like 5,000 followers across her social. But at the age of 19, she organized the largest BLM march in the state of California, and over 50,000 people showed up at the Golden Gate Bridge. She impressed the hell out of me, and I was like, "We need to get you in front of brands." She was working like 3 jobs, just to like keep her head above water and going to school. And she was like, what brand would pay me? I have 5,000 followers across social. And I was like, let me figure that out. I ended up pairing her with Taco Bell and PepsiCo. Like, and she's incredible. Like, again, but like she has real world impact, right? It's like, would we have found her on Instagram? Probably not, because she didn't have a large following. But like you just wormhole and find the people who are actually putting in the work in the communities. That's for me is like just a huge missed opportunity. And early on in my career, I just kicked myself because it was very much churn and burn. Like I would bring in big 6 and 7 figure dollar deals. And once it came through, I just, execution team. And I look back and I'm like, if I sell something through and we contract 15 creators, that's 15 opportunities, right? That are being created that could change the course of a creator's career, like, so I look back and I'm like, I was in that churn and burn, like, here, sold it through, do it. And now it's like, when I talk to a brand and I understand their goals and objectives, their why, who they're trying to reach, and again, why, how we're measuring success, I get on lots of calls with creators. Again, not just the ones who have a large following. I get on a call and I'm just like, just tell me, like, what do you want to do? Like, tell me about your goals and objectives. Like, what are your beliefs? What are you passionate about? Like, where do you see yourself? And so when I hear that, or, a creator say what their, passions are and what they want to accomplish, when I hear a brand saying the same thing, it's like we're a connector. And so for me, like that's the big thing, is like something that I would really love people to understand is like strategy does not end when you have the big idea. Like you honestly, like, a big part of the strategy is understanding the goals and objectives. And then I just find the right creators and I get on a call with the creator and say, here's what they're trying to accomplish. And we actually build out the actual strategy together versus saying, here's a strategy, it's completely baked out. Here's a guideline, just create the content. My most successful brand partnerships are when we just start with the goal and objective and we build out the strategy with the right creators in mind.
Well, the missed opportunity, it sounds like, is continuing the momentum, right? If there's this beautiful momentum that's been created, why are you going to sort of stop it in this place where it doesn't feel like it's resolved,
I
right?
also think bringing in creators too late, like not at the right point, right? Most creators are brought in, again, when something is sold through and there's already a creative brief, they're brought in and basically just given a brief. I think creators should be brought in from the research stage. Again, from like, we understand, like, we have a goal and objective, right? And we know what success could look like. I think bringing in creators to understand, the psychology behind everything. So for me, that's a big missed opportunity. And that's one thing that I'm really excited about that I'm building with the team is, we're building a creator network that is a creator culture first network. And basically what that means is partnering with creators in front of the lens, and behind the scenes, like placing creators at the heart of everything we do and how we do it. We're hiring full-time in-house creators. We're hiring social reporters. I even envision a world where we have like a mini like Adobe studio and we need graphics and stop motion and filmmaking and producing and editing. And we actually have, creators that we tap to help make it, versus basically, again, giving a brief to traditional graphic designers and creatives. Like, I really envision like what would happen if we brought creators in from the ground, like day one. Like, what does that output look like?
So there could be more crossover. Are you also like, how do you feel about UGC then?
Oh, I think it's crucial. Especially we see this in DTC, right? It's real people using your content. I think UGC is a KPI. It's a strategy and a KPI. And, we saw a rise like during the pandemic when, we couldn't do big productions, right? We were getting briefs that were partnering with creators to create all of the assets for a product launch, for the new build on the website, and the content ended up being more diverse than you would typically get for, a normal photo shoot. And the cost was, you know, nowhere near as bloated. A big production could be hundreds of thousands of dollars, and all the content kind of looks vanilla. But partnering with creators, you're getting like real people behind your product. So it's more relatable, and that content, just converts better.
So I appreciate that what I'm hearing you is like almost like literally describing what UGC is, which is user generated content. And so like in its purest form, it's like if you're, I don't know, you talk about like Adobe, like it's like real life photographers who are just saying how they love Adobe and like they're a photographer first, not a creator necessarily. That's like the purest form of UGC. But I guess like what I'm seeing pop up in the last like year or so, like we're seeing management companies who have UGC divisions. So they're representing creators who are like UGC creators, and I think it's like, to me at least, it's like a little confusing.
There's a big difference.
Yes. Talk to me about that a little bit. I'm curious your thoughts.
User generated is people who actually organically use your product. The other thing is content is creators for hire, right? Like you're hiring creators to create content that don't normally use your product to use however you want to use it. I mean, very, very, very different.
Hey, you. Thanks for listening to this episode. This show is sponsored by Women in Influencer Marketing, the best online community for the creator economy. You'll meet fellow influencer marketers, brands, and talent managers to talk shop, get hired, and even find a mentor. When you join, don't forget to check out all of our incredible resources. We also have dozens of masterclasses from the top voices at TikTok, YouTube, award winning agencies, and women who are paving the way for us all. If you want a chance to network with a who's who in influencer marketing, just check out what it takes to join the membership collective. Visit iamwim.com/join today. That's iamwim.com/join. And I'll see you around the community. So different. Yeah. And like, I don't know, from my vantage point, I'm almost seeing people trying to like conflate the two, but they're so different. It's like a department of like, let's say creatives who like can create really, really great content. But I think the distinction is that like they don't necessarily have the following yet, or for whatever reason, they don't have the following. But yeah, creators for hire. That's the perfect way to describe it.
There's like a big ongoing debate on Twitter because you'll see people, they were saying UGC, in search of UGC creators for this type of product. And then people would say, then they would send them the product, they would create it. And then you have the other half of Twitter being like, yo, that's not UGC. Like, you need to change your verbiage because it's like you're looking for, content creators. And that is very much, you just send them products, they've used it for the first time, and oh my God, I'm so obsessed with it. That's honestly reverting back to like influencer from like 10 years ago when it was like everyone knows you didn't use the product. It's kind of cringy.
It's cringy. That's the best word. Okay. I want to dig into salesmanship a little and like the sales process. I'm pivoting hard. But I was sort of listening to you talking earlier, and you're like, when I sell through a program, when I sell through this, and I'm asking key questions and I earn a business, like that is a skill, I think, that no matter where you sit in the creator economy, it's invaluable to sort of like be able to hone in on the ability to do it well, to feel comfortable with it, and just like hone that skill. So I feel like salesmanship or sales is just different for everybody. But for you, I'm curious, like, how do you approach getting people excited to work with you?
I actually didn't realize that I was selling for the longest time at the Amplify. I actually just looked at it as having tissue sessions, like we're all educating each other. I look at it as education and problem solving, and not sales. And like, what problem are we trying to solve? Right. Let's talk about, the goal and objective. Let's talk about the problem, and like, let's really workshop solving for it and all the different creative ways, right, that you can partner with creators to solve the problem, to bring it to life. That's how I look at it. I look at a brief as like a puzzle, a problem that we're trying to solve. That's like my most favorite thing is like putting the puzzle together, strategizing, right? Taking like, you know, taking all the like knowledge we have from like, TikTok and like, platform knowledge we were getting from TikTok and Twitter and Instagram and all the different ways that we see creators like tell a story. And it really is just a puzzle. And when you solve it, it sells through or whatever, like, and you're able to then like bring it to life by like bringing on creators to help, tell the story in all these different ways. And, you're looking at it from, it's so much fun. And I had no idea that I was selling millions of dollars. I mean, I knew I was selling, but there was never any pressure.
There wasn't any pressure internally, like from yourself?
I mean, I've worked with salespeople and they're like, I see the pressure that they're under. I guess I've always looked at it again, like it's just, I've never looked at it as I need to sell this through. Because when I did have that mindset for like a year, I don't want the integrity of the program to be compromised because you just need to sell something through to make a quota. Like for me, like that's when, at least me personally, like I want to keep that intact and like really focus on like the job to be done. So I look at it as like education. I'm learning, they're learning, and like let's just build this together.
It's great to have the objective be something like education or something that's like mutually beneficial, something where like it's, I would venture to say that you enjoy learning and probably teaching. Like it's something that you can also like focus on that's like pleasurable for you and like enjoyable and stuff. I've seen so many people who are in a sales role get really, really wrapped up in like the goals, the sales goals.
Looking at it as like a check mark, right? A checkbox. Like you have a scope and like, or you have a brief and this is what they say they want. And so just give it to them. When it's like, let's actually, again, really looking at the goals and objectives and like the why and understanding, the mechanics of everything.
What about challenging the person that you're trying to sell to? Because, like, maybe what if you ask a question and you get an answer that you like disagree with? Do you always feel comfortable and take that approach to like challenge what they're saying? Or are there certain instances where you're like, I'm just going to let that one go for one reason or another?
And I've done both. It obviously feels really incredible when you have that type of relationship and culture where you feel comfortable speaking up and offering a different perspective. I've also been on the reverse where I've felt not empowered to speak up or that the culture was right or that it was even wanted. And then you just, right, then it's just like, okay, what do I need to do? And let's do it. Honestly, that's why, like, when I left the agency world and like in January, I didn't really want to go back. I was like, let me figure something out because I mean, but I've also been doing it for 12 years in an agency setting. Again, I've seen the best and I've also like had my ups and downs and, not seen the best. But when I left the agency world, I basically just said, look, I know I want to stay in the creator economy. I know I want to build. I want to do something forward thinking and innovative because I'm a curious person. I want to help people and I want to help people. Like that truly is for me, like what grounds me and what drives me. And so when I do have conversations with brands, I look at it from like, how can I help you? Let's do this together. When I talk to creators, it's very much like, what do you want to accomplish? How can I help you? And then it's putting the pieces together. When brands are saying the same thing that the creators are saying, the values align, right? That's where the magic happens. And that for me is the most important. Like elevating and amplifying goodness is something I won't compromise anymore.
So, like, this past year has been like a wild year for a lot of companies. Like, you've seen a lot of people get laid off. You've seen, a lot of budgets get, diminish because the economy is a little nutty. Yet, like, the creator economy, like, it's chugging along. Like, I feel like it finally did come to a point where, like, there was definitely impact there. Whereas I felt like the creator economy sort of avoided some of that like early pandemic economic impact. But I'm curious, like in this, we're a little more than halfway through the year. I'm curious, like, is there anything that sort of surprised you this year, 2023 in particular, in the work that you've been doing?
I mean, surprise me particular, I would say, I don't know if this is going to answer your question, but I think for me, again, having been doing this for a while, like what surprised me about my journey is that I actually was able to find like my passion and my voice again. That for me, like there was definitely a few months where I just thought I can't imagine being passionate about, this again. I can't imagine actually wanting to like work really hard. And so that's been the biggest surprise. It's just finding my passion again has been key. And then to be able to build, I think, something new and fresh. I've been actually pitching this concept of, again, like an influencer creator agency that is built, again, with creators at the heart of everything. I've been pitching it for like 3 or 4 years. A lot of people, agency wise, looked at me like I was crazy. Meanwhile, the creators were like, hell yeah, like, let's do it. And so that's what we're building right now at the Arena Group is building a creator culture first network and partnering with creators from day one of like, we got this opportunity. You have a seat at the table. You have a seat at the table at day one. Like, let's figure this out together versus here's a brief, like, do your job. That's your job. So that's just super exciting for me to be kind of like entrusted with this.
I mean, I appreciate it because I don't see that elsewhere. Like I haven't seen that elsewhere. And in fact, I can like rattle off a bunch of things. I won't do that, but like of like why that would be really challenging to accomplish. Like someone's gotta be the one to like do the innovative thing that, like pushes the envelope or else like I feel like I don't know, I'll speak for myself. Like I feel like half the reason I got into the creator economy in the first place was because it was different and it was new and fresh and people were innovating. And I don't know if you've felt similar. So I don't want to put words in your mouth, but like I have felt that over time, it has felt less than that. Like it has felt more like everybody's just trying to scale. No one's really innovating at all. Everyone's just like rinsing and repeating the same like ridiculous.
Oh my God, the word scale. The scale word is triggering.
Me too. Me too. I have said on the show before, even like, I don't think the creator economy is meant to be scaled at all because it's a relationship based business. And so, how do you actually scale relationships? Like, you can try, but you're going to like ruin all those relationships because they're relationships that aren't meant to be scaled. So, it's like all the tech companies and stuff, like they're trying to create technology to be able to scale it. And I just think it's like a zero sum game.
We need to automate like relationships and then it becomes transactional again. And then you start measuring the vanity metrics as of why to partner with creators versus understanding who they are. Yeah, like that's a big thing. And also like why aren't creators being tapped earlier? Why aren't they being brought into the process earlier? They are creative people. They've figured out how to build a community and create engaging content and build an audience. And they figured out how to do what the most, I don't want to say brilliant, but what some of the most, high level marketing executives haven't figured out. They're real people. Like they understand how to, when they speak up, like it incites action, like they understand how to do these things. And for us to just give them a brief and just say, make this video using all of these different guidelines and talking points is honestly doing them a disservice. And it's like, instead of like saying money's left on the table, like creativity, like you're just leaving creativity on the table. I don't know.
I agree so much with you. It's like the bar has become so low. The bar is way too low. And like, I just had this is going to sound so like shitty, but like I just had higher hopes for our industry. I feel like there are like people who are certainly like pushing the envelope, but like it's taking longer than I would have hoped. And I feel like a lot of people just kind of have become like complacent. The bar is low. I feel like people have become like kind of stuck in their ways. And so like, when you say like, I want creators to come in earlier in the process, I can hear in the back of my mind, and again, I'm a former talent manager, but I can hear all the managers being like, but like, how, you have to monetize basically every second of your time. Like, how is that worth it? Like, are they going to get paid for that time? And it's like, there's just different ways to get to the same place. There's probably better ways to get to a better place.
But I want to pay them though. Like in that aspect of like building this creator culture first network is like, it is like, we want to bring you in on the research. We're going to pay you.
So is the proposal sort of having the people come in, like the distinction is that they're not like full-time employees, but they're like doing similar work, but they're like part-time contractors because they also have their own influencer business. Is that sort of the proposal?
I mean, I think it's not one size fits all, right? Like we will have full-time in-house creators and, some might be social culture reporters, but also like we're looking at it from three different ways, right? Like creator led, who are the creators that we know we want to work with? And let's build something around that. What we know we need evergreen content that is meant to grow social channels, build engagement, build views. What creators are great for that? In cultural moments, right? We know we need to have engaging content around cultural moments. What are the different stories that we can tell and what creators are living that life? Some might be contracted full time, some might be, hired as creative directors, some might be like we hire creators just to like keep us up to date on trends and what trends make sense for our brands. There's just different ways that we're looking to partner with creators versus hire and staff like a typical agency. Yeah, I mean, our social culture reporters, they can still work with other brands. This is just another way that they are monetizing. This is another way that they are getting paid to do what they love doing. You know what I mean? Like they're already on TikTok, they're already scrolling through, they're already seeing trends. And how can I use this trend for my personal brand? We're now just saying, hey, we'll also pay you to do that with a lens for our brands.
There's so many creators that have been like asking for that sort of a thing for years. So like I've had a similar experience. And they're saying like creators have always been down to do that. Like I had a lot of creators that I worked with who were like, in addition to pitching me for like the brand partnerships, like, can you also see if they want me to just like create content together? Like, they're already doing it. They have this expertise and like there's a desire there as well, additional monetization, like revenue streams and stuff. So I feel like you have like a deep knowledge about creators in a way that I don't see in a lot of people. And that seems counterintuitive because I talk to a lot of creator economy people, but I feel that you know people who like before other people know them. You know what I mean? Like I feel like you make an effort to really sort of like find interesting people. Like you said before, you're like, I wouldn't have necessarily found that creator. Like she doesn't have a huge Instagram following or whatever, but like I found this person. So I'm curious, like with that experience, are there any women in particular that you think our audience should be following? And those could be creators, it could be creator economy, people that are just really interesting. Like, is there any women in particular that you think we should know about?
Well, I just think it's interesting because Tiana Day didn't consider herself necessarily a content creator, right? But like she creates impact with what she's doing every day and people listen to her. And so when I did partner her with Taco Bell and PepsiCo, it actually wasn't from a content creation standpoint. It was as a Gen Z thought leader, board of director, right? Like we brought her in to the executives and they asked her questions about what she cares about and, Gen Z activism. And again, this is another way to partner with someone who is creating impact in the world, and influence happens from the inside out. There's brands spending tons of money on public facing influencer campaigns, but like we need to educate them on like an influence from the inside out. So again, it's like looking at creators from not just you're creating all of these types of content, but like creating impact. That was a tangent from that. But also, I think I look at creators who are at the intersections of culture, right? So it's not just looking at a person who is a finance creator, but they are finance as it intersects with travel, right? Like, because finance content typically tends to be not as accessible, not as relatable, not as tangible. And so when I look at a finance creator, I'm looking at, again, finance at the intersection of travel. And then I find Pax Light, Gabby Beckford, who is super hyper focused on travel, but it's not like I'm look at this beautiful place in Greece. It's just like, here's 5 tips on how you can apply for grants in order to, right, do this. She very much is tangible, accessible, relatable, financial content as it pertains to travel. So that's kind of just how I look at like wormholing and finding creators. It's not just like looking by category, it's looking by like at the cross sections of culture.
No, it's a great way of thinking about that. I love that.
When you look at it from that perspective, like you find little pockets on the internet of like people creating this like super niche content versus like just mainstream by category content. And then real quick, I do want to give a couple shout outs to some women in the creator economy space that I love. I mean, Leah Haberman, I mean, who doesn't know her? She is like the in case you missed it queen of trends. I know what I know because of her Substack. I think also one that I've been like following and devouring a lot of her content lately is Jessica Phillips. She is the CEO and founder of Social Standard. Her and I actually briefly worked together when I was at Hello Society back in like 2011 or 12. And she's just putting out like a lot of, she has a great podcast too. But she's like a lot of things that I like. Anyway, she has my attention. And then Zoe, is it Scuman? Scaman. She has like the most brilliant mind when it comes to innovation, metaverse, subcultures, fandoms. Like I read her stuff and my mind melts. Like she's able to break down these kind of really scary, complex ideas or like things and just really makes it tangible to the creator economy. Yeah.
I love it. I'm like sitting here writing down their names so I can check them out. And so I'm so curious, as somebody who was like very into Web3 myself, and I know you were very into Web3 as well. Does it take up as much time as it used to? Do you still see that it's like as viable as you thought it once was? What are your thoughts on Web3?
I think it just goes down to the basics. It's community, right? I mean, I do think that technology is really interesting and actually will shape a lot of future technology, like the whole blockchain, like, I think that technology is really interesting. But I think that was the focus of Web3 when in a successful integration, you don't even know you're in it. You don't even know you're using it. But I'm still in it as it pertains to like some of the friendships and people that I've met in the communities. Like I'm still very much like, you know, with them. But I needed to obsess about it for a good 6 months to better understand it and better understand the use cases. And I know we've geeked out a couple of times. And when you actually look at the mechanics, it's like, this is really interesting. Like I actually can see like the use cases to build like an engaged community. It makes so much sense. It's just how can we not make it so, there's some work that needs to be done. It's still very interesting and I have my eye on it. I think from then it's shift to AI, right? Oh my gosh. Like I spent about 6 months working at AI startups in the creator economy space, particularly. And that foundation, again, I know it can be scary. And when you talk about like, does it eliminate jobs? It really is as good as the output. And it's not as easy as it sounds to actually give prompts and then layer on additional prompts of the prompts, right? Like it's not as easy as it sounds. I mean, I did see behind the curtain of the technology for some creator economy startups, and it's really impressive.
I saw a tool just the other day that someone was demoing for me because I'm everyone's guinea pig and I love it. She was showing me how they have this built in AI tool, it's just built in with ChatGPT, where there's like a couple fields that you can customize and then it spits out like a pitch of like why you should work with this creator or why you should work with this manager's talent. And I was like, that's useful. Like that is useful. Like I would have absolutely used that. But then I was like digging into it more. I was like, okay, but like, so from then, like, do you have any analytics based on, okay, so if I use this one pitch, what is the success rate from that? Can I like A B test a couple different subject lines that it suggests? So, like, it's a great start. There's a lot of use cases. I was talking to someone the other day who was like, she's more of a content creator and she's like, I want to diversify my content a little bit. And there's like an area that I want to get into more. And she's like, it's very time consuming and I'll get in my own way and, I'll never start. And she's like, you know what? I should just explore chat GBT for like, a template of sorts. And like, the thing is, people shit all over using chat GBT to like come up with a caption or come up with content and stuff. And like, the thing is, everyone, in my opinion, like that doesn't need to be the final product, but it can be an excellent starting point if you're already just getting in your head about never starting because you have a million excuses why. Like if it's just an assist, like absolutely use the assist. It's a tool. Why not?
And you can definitely tell when someone just uses it as a final product. And that's interesting because that's very different than the 3 AI startups that I was looking at. One was, basically it's taking like a longer form video and it's like, identifying like the most important kind of parts of the video and then like spitting out like 3, 4, 5 different vertical options. That saves so much time and headache and money for content creators in general. Another one was basically it can create like a business in an app for you. Like if you're a fitness creator, influencer, put your profile in this app. You can customize your colors and things, but it basically takes your longer form like workout videos and create them into be mini sessions. It'll actually create products for you as well. Like it'll have like a foam roller and to put in your color and put your logo on it. You can actually put in the type, like if you're a vegan, it'll actually curate vegan recipes and then like products and you get I mean, it was really like monetizing, doing everything for you. I mean, I saw it and it does it within minutes. And then another one was basically pulling in all of your, like pulling your Pinterest and your Instagram and identifying which ones have affiliate programs. And you can say, yes, you want to include it. And then it creates your own storefront with all of the affiliate links attached. Kind of wild.
I'll have to get the names of all of those companies because I probably would want to drop them in the show notes for anyone who's like, wait, what company is that? I want to know what that company does. So, like explore it and stuff because like some of those are good. Like a lot of those, I think they're interesting in particular because they solve real problems. It's not just like a nice to have. Like people are like, I want to build up my business and I'll get in my own way. I'll never pull all the different affiliate links and blah, blah, blah. Like there's networks, of course, tons of companies that do affiliate marketing, but I pretty consistently hear from the creator's perspective that it's just overcomplicated. It's like unnecessarily overly complicated. And like, that's the goal of AI is like to sort of uncomplicate things for us, like, make it a little bit easier. And like, it's a very practical use case for so many creators. There's like money left on the table for them. So it's a cool idea.
And that was something where it's like, again, like Web3, like I don't understand it. Like there was a time, right? Like 6, 8 months ago and AI was like, I really was like, I have no idea what's going on. Like I need to understand it as it pertains to the creator economy though. And so for like 6 months, I was like fractional, head of creator, for these AI startups. And I got paid to to learn, behind the scenes on AI because it was still leveraging relevant content creators to help grow, right, their business. But that was like, if I don't even try to get a grasp on this, like I was getting scared. I was like so scared that I was just like beyond like my ability to learn. So again, I like to get paid to learn. And I was like, all right, let me see if there's some AI startups that need some growth and let's see what I can do.
That's like, I don't know, making a list with my best friend right now. I was like, this is like very personal, but I was like really struggling this year in particular. I was like, what do I enjoy? Like, not like business necessarily, because I want to be able to like do those things more. And so I'm putting together a list of things. And one of them that I put on the other night is about, I was like, I don't know that I want to like go back to school and like get like a whole like degree. But like, I enjoy learning. I enjoy the learning aspect of it. So when you're saying like get paid to learn, I'm like, I mean, that freaking sounds perfect. I'm gonna like add something like that to my list of like things that I should make space for that would genuinely make me happy. Like get paid to learn.
The technology is new to everyone, right? And they're still just trying to grow their company, but it's new technology for everyone. And so, right, a growth hack is partnering with creators who could use your product to grow. Like, that's the thing is like, I don't know, maybe getting paid to learn kind of sounds whatever, but like, it's a new technology for everyone. It's just leveraging creators to use the product. So for us, it's actually not, you know what I mean? Like the foundation is not new for you and me because we live in the creator economy, we live in the influencer space, and the technology is new for everyone. So when I kind of broke it down like that, like it just made so much more sense.
I love that. And you're talking about like growth hacking. Like I always joke around, but it's true. I'm everybody's guinea pig. Why? Because like I love technology. I've always found it really, really fascinating. But I've ever like worked in like at a tech company? No, never. I love working for myself because I can sort of like pick, some new thing that I want to learn that day. And no one's going to tell me, no, you need to be working on something else. Like it is one of the beauties of having your own business. You can learn whatever the hell you want on your own time. But like, I love being people's guinea pigs because you get a peek behind the curtain of something that you're really curious about that no one would necessarily hire me per se to work at one of these companies. But like, if I could be of service to you and give you my perspective. And hopefully, I will give you some value by sharing feedback. But I get to have my curiosity satiated a bit and I get to learn something new. Like it's really a win win. So, yeah, absolutely. And I know you've had like passion side projects too. Like I know about one in Web3 that you were working on and stuff. So, I don't know. People don't talk about that a lot, which is like, we're joking around like, get paid to learn, but like there's other things of value besides money in certain instances. And that's a really just asking somebody, like, can I help you with that? You'd be very surprised to hear a lot of people would be like, yeah, absolutely. You want to beta test this and give me some feedback? I would love that. You'd be like, you're allowing me to like look at this thing and like I would love to. Like can you teach me a little bit more about it in the meantime? And like it's just a win-win. So I think it'd be freaking awesome if more people did that, you know?
Yeah. I mean, and it's also not normal now to only have one job, to give your everything to one place, especially in this economy where it's like you give everything to a company and then it's like you maybe have been made redundant, even though you're awesome. And that's not the case, right? Like it's not because like you aren't amazing at what you do, but like, we're not our parents, where you give 40 years to a place and you have a nice retirement. Like job security now is multiple revenue streams. And I do think that being in the creator economy space volleys us up really nicely for that because we are connectors. We are connectors. And if we're only limiting to being a connector for one company, then we're not helping as many people as we possibly can help. That's how I look at it.
Totally. I love that. I've heard a lot of companies that are also looking, for like advisors, for example. Like that could be another interesting way to, create some more wealth. Like people talk a lot about like generational wealth, which is something that women should just like be you don't need like don't feel a certain way about creating more wealth for yourself and your family and whatever. So and talking about like different ways to monetize, being an advisor at a company, like perhaps you're just exchanging time for equity and like that can be incredibly valuable for you to do in some instances and you're learning along the way. So, yeah, I don't know. A whole lot to talk about on that front. I have a feeling that our audience is like totally going to want to get in touch. We're going to drop your social links in the show notes, but what's the best platform for people to reach out if they want to connect with you?
I'm an open book. Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn. I only lurk on TikTok, so don't really hit me up there. But yeah, LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, my email, like,
Pick your poison.
yeah. I mean, I know people are like, your email is like, it has become like your most kind of sacred like way. I mean, I do. I give mine out because I just like helping people.
So we will share it with your permission in the show notes. So I have a feeling that a lot of people will likely reach out. And for those of you guys who are listening, like Lindsay is really like a connector, like truly, and an open book. It's not just like she's not just saying that. So if anything that you heard today makes you curious and makes you want to connect with Lindsay, I could personally vouch she's awesome and you should. She's totally around the WIIM community as well. So, Lindsay, thank you so much for coming on today. I always enjoy our conversations. And so, for those of you guys who are listening, I appreciate you stopping by, and we will see you next week. If you enjoyed this episode, we gotta have you back. Check out our website for more ways to get involved, including all the information you need about joining our collective. You can check out all the information at IamWIIM.com. Leave us a review, a rating, but the most important thing that we could ask you to do is to share this podcast.
Thanks for listening.
Tune in next week.
Tune in next week.